I am at 17 Ridgeview Drive in Dry Ridge, Kentucky, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. Now, the access points here are actually two. There's an old, basically the house has got a pretty large addition, and so we have the main house here, the original. We're down here, and the only access point that we could find is this outside clean out. And then there's also an outside clean out over behind the garage where they had done the addition above the garage. And so this one is cast iron, the original line, and it is a sweep, which prevents me from inspecting the portion of the line that's underneath the floor in the house. It's just going to send me out to the stuff, to the exterior piping. This is normal, but with it being cast iron, it does, we would like to be able to inspect the stuff under the floor in the house. We just don't have the access. With cast iron, we will have a little bit here to see, but with cast iron, most of the time, you really can't tell how much life is left in it. Cast iron obviously rusts, and so there's really not a good way of telling how thick it is. You're basically looking at making sure it's just flowing correctly, and that the line is open and flowing. And there'll be flow tests done on the fixtures inside. They'll be running a bunch of water on each fixture just to make sure that it is flowing, and then we'll be inspecting all the exterior pipe. The new side on the addition, I will be able to go both directions in that clean out, but like I mentioned, this one has they call a sweep, and so it basically has a slight bend in the pipe as it goes down that forces you to go downstream or out towards the sewer main. So you can see there's a few feet of cast iron here before it switches over. Like I said here, this is at the bottom, so it's about 6 feet from where I am starting. That 6 feet is basically zeroed at the bottom of the sheet, or at the bottom of the sweep. And so I'm going to zero out, and then now I've got stuff from the camera, or from the bottom of the pipe all over the front of the camera. So, but I will go ahead and zero this out, and basically that'll be the length of the pipe from this clean out, and then we'll try to see if we can get out a few feet to the water, and if not, we can run some water inside and check it, which I normally do. So what I'm going to do here is I am just going to go ahead and run some water real quick in the kitchen, since we are down at the level of the kitchen. And this is carrying the upstairs bathroom, this basement bathroom, and the kitchen is carrying through this line. So we're going to run a little bit of water here, and go ahead and use that to hopefully rinse off the front of the camera lens here. And it's getting there, but there we go. So we can see where we're in the cast iron here. And then it switches over to within a few feet here, probably just past where this retaining wall is. It switches over to PVC, which is good. Originally this was probably clay pipe out here. Sometimes in the 60s and 70s they did use cast iron all the way to the main. And so this being PVC is good news for the buyer because it's a newer material and a tougher material. So because we're running water though, it looks like we're may have to turn the water off so that it doesn't fill up above the camera lens. Now, the camera lens is only about a ½ an inch off the bottom of the pipe, so it's not a whole lot. This feels like I'm pushing something. I don't know what that is. Yeah, it looks like looks like it goes back to probably like cast iron maybe. I'm not really sure. That PVC may have been put in just where they added the other line when they did the addition. They added that other bathroom line. And so it looks like we have some root intrusion. Let's say bare minimum this line's going to have to be cleaned. I'm getting a little resistance here as we go out. So what we're hoping for is to get out. Yep, this is all clay out here. And so we probably have a large amount of root intrusion. So I'm going to keep trying to punch through this and try to let some of this water drain, and that'll give us some better visibility on the way back. This looks like PVC. This may actually be in the main because of the way I've dropped into it, and I saw some other connections. Or that was another connection from something else, but yeah. If nothing else, this is the main here. We are out 82 feet. And so I will need to get a locate, so we'll be able to tell that pretty quickly. And this looks like this was done probably in the 70s, early 80s. That looks like black ABS plastic. And based off of this, looking like a tap-in from the right, top right, probably about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. This may be in the main. Should be able to tell better if we turn into that clay. Here we go. So now that was still their lateral, but that may be where that other connection comes in. And so we have clay out here, and hopefully we can see better as I pull back. I said before, I'm getting some resistance here, so I'm going to go to here, and then I'm going to pause the video for a second. I'm going to go locate exactly where this is, and then we'll try to check because there's multiple partial blockages, multiple spots where there are root intrusion and some buildup, like there's probably been some backups in the past. And so I'm going to mark this spot, and then we'll come back and continue the inspection. Okay, so this is at the back corner by the little shed or playhouse or whatever that is back there. It's literally going right underneath that small tree. I don't know what kind of tree that is, but it's going right underneath it. And that's probably where these roots are getting in. It's 5'5" to the invert. And so I'm hoping to kind of let this water drain down. Hopefully I've poked a hole in it enough so we can get these areas to drop, and that way we can see a little better on the way back. At least going to need a clean, when we get, I just wanted to mention too, once we get into that black, that ABS, that is where the line left the property. And that one connection is probably coming from another house before it drops into the main. But it looks like that'd be right around the property line where it goes underneath the fence. And so that's probably what that is that the once the line leaves the property and the municipality takes over maintenance, they probably repaired or replaced all that. Or this used to be a septic system and they put the main in the late 70s, early 80s, and that's how they connected them with the ABS. And could be either one. Either way, once it leaves the property, it's PVC and in great shape. I'm just trying to make sure that all this stuff escapes. So this looks like a pretty hefty amount of stuff caught on some roots. So this is definitely going to have to be cleaned. And I would also recommend, depending on how much water this is holding on the way back, you may have to clean it and then re-inspect it to check behind all the stuff for the roots to make sure that there hasn't been any structural damage caused by the root intrusion. Still an awful lot of water escaping. So as soon as we get back here, I mean, we're wanting this to drain down so that we can see. Flowing through here pretty good, and hopefully this will, the fact that I popped this open with my camera can allow this to drain down better. And it's taking quite a while for it to drain. Frustrating here that I can't, I may just pause the video and wait for a minute because this is taking quite a while for this water to drain down. So normally this would drain down and we'd be able to see a lot better on the way back where all that water is backed up, and now we're releasing it, and you can see it running from the back of the camera to the front. It looks like a lot of it's draining. So yeah, I'm just going to pause the video for a minute. We've sat here long enough waiting for it. We'll give it a minute. Okay, it is still running a little bit, but we're going to see if we made a difference here. You can see that it is lower in the water level. That's what we're looking for, to see if we can see anything else in here. We have another. I think we have multiple spots of root intrusion. Once it gets past all the, yeah, there's some more blockage there at 59 feet. This is going to have to be cleaned. You can see all the stuff on the side of the walls, and that's from the backup, where it's just backed up. And I think I've poked a couple holes in it, but there are just multiple spots that are, and that's where all this is building up. There's another spot at 50 feet, and that's why I had a little bit of trouble pushing. And so all this was underwater on the way out. So we are getting it to drain a little bit. But you can see how when I pull my camera back, a lot of this stuff is just falling closed. There's just tons and tons of roots in this line. And if done well, they can get, if they can get, this is probably 6-inch pipe, if they can get a 6-inch double knife or a 4-inch double knife down this, they should be able to clean these roots out pretty good. But there's just an awful lot of roots. And so this branch, as you can tell, we're still underwater. I believe it was starting to fill up from running that water. And so this is going to need cleaning to get the roots, because there's pretty much roots the entire length of the pipe. I'll be able to find out exactly where the, because this is all clay, it looks like. No, this may be, I think this is the, no, this is, we're in the PVC, and so I didn't get a chance to see where that ended because of the water. But you could see that it has backed up on occasion, and that's what all that stuff around the pipe, on the outside of the pipe is. So I'm gonna, at least on this branch, we'll find the other branch here in a minute, but essentially from about 20 feet out to about 65 or so, I believe, is gonna need to be cleaned and re-inspected, to make sure, because of all the buildup and everything, to make sure that there's no structural damage in any of those connections. A lot of people that can't do cleaning will have a camera and be able to inspect it. Now, so for this one, it's really not much of a, I'm going to say that, you know, the line, basically I'm unable to complete a full inspection due to blockage, and that the line is going to have to be cleaned and re-inspected for structural issues once all the roots are cleared out. And then you're probably going to need, if the roots, if it hasn't caused any structural issues, you'll need to do some maintenance, get a maintenance schedule to make, just to make sure that the roots don't come back. But a good cleaning can get rid of all those roots, and so you should be able to do that, flush the line out, and then be able to see the pipe a lot better. So I'm going to pause the video here. We're going to move over to the other clean out, which is coming out from the addition, and then we'll inspect the length of pipe between the addition and where it ties into this main part of the lateral. Okay, so ready to move over to the other clean out, and we're going to inspect this branch and hope that we can at least see on this one until we go over to the, where it ties into the lateral. Looks like they're running some water up there for the inspection.
So hopefully we can see all the way out with this water running until we tie in. This is most likely all PVC all the way out. You can see the steam coming off the hot water. So far everything looks really good on this branch. This all looks really good. Looks like we're getting ready to Y in. There's the Y in right there. We're going in, and that's where we were underwater. And I'm just going to go mark that just so we know where that is. Just so you know. So I'm going to pause the video. We'll locate this spot so you know where it runs and ties into the other portion of the main, or lateral. Okay, so this line looks really good, but you can see that the water is starting to back up already into this line. And this was flowing pretty freely, but it's starting to build up into this line with the extra flow. And this line is probably a lot higher. And so the addition branch all looks great. No issues found there. And but the original line is full of roots. Pretty much out to, I believe it was about 68 or 70 feet there that will have to be cleaned to remove the roots. And then it'll have to be re-inspected post-cleaning. Okay. So the old side, the line, obviously, just to sum up everything, the original line coming out of the back of the original house, there in the behind the kitchen. That clean out is on the back patio, and so from there out, pretty much out to about 70 feet, has to be cleaned. There's a lot of roots in between, say 30 feet and 70 feet. There's a lot of root intrusion. It's probably all clay pipe there. And the original clay piping just has a lot of room to let those roots in, and so that needs to be cleaned and re-inspected for any structural issues, being that obviously that interfered with the visual inspection of that section of pipe. The inside on that line was unable to be inspected due to lack of access. I can't get it has a sweep in that clean out, so I'm only able to inspect downstream from there. With cast iron, I do just want to say that you just want to make sure that you're not flushing any wet wipes or anything in there. They do have a tendency to, it's more likely for those to cause problems in cast iron, just because there's some rough edges because it rusts, and it can catch onto those wet wipes, and then the wet wipes don't break down like toilet paper does, and so they build up and they can cause backups in there also. Cast iron, you never really know what kind of lifespan it has, because it does rust, and so even if we could inspect it, there would be, unless there's some obvious holes in it or something like that, as long as it's flowing, it's it's in pretty good condition. But there's different stages, and as long as there's some good cast iron put in, it can last for quite a while. But again, we were unable to inspect that section. the addition that was put on and the secondary line that was run off of that and tied into that lateral, coming out the back of the garage and then running over and Ying in. I did mark that connection just for reference, and but that whole line looked great, so no issues found with that at all the way to the connection. So do a cleaning, re-inspection, and then should be hopefully that everything's good structurally, and then you should be good for a while. But that'll end the inspection at 17 Ridgeview Drive in Dry Ridge, Kentucky.